Hi guys, my name is Heather and I am a manifestation strategist and intuitive healer. I specialize in helping overachieving professionals heal their nervous system so they can manifest soul-aligned success by doing less while achieving more. On my channel, I share all of my best tips and strategies for manifesting success with the divine. Today, I want to share 3 tips that will help you begin to awaken your own unique soul's path so that you can narrow your focus down on what really matters and let go of the rest. In order to know what we really want, we must first figure out what we don't want. Most of the overachievers that I work with have too much going on. They have their hands in too many plates, and by the end of the day, they haven't been present with anything that they're doing, and they end up feeling like if they would have just focused on one thing to begin with, they would have gotten more done and enjoyed it while they were doing it. This ends up leaving them feeling stressed because they're not getting what they wanted to get done to begin with. Now they're overstimulated and they're feeling disconnected from themselves and the reason that they started to achieve these goals to begin with. This is creating a cycle of chasing achievements, doing too much at once, and sabotaging accomplishment and progress toward the desired end result. The first step in awakening your soul's path is knowing your goals and your mission. So the next time you are feeling like you are frazzled or stressed out because you've got too much going on, take a moment to step back to figure out what you would like to accomplish, maybe in this lifetime or just in each area of your life. And I like to think in terms of the big 5 areas. So your health, your finance, your career, your spirituality, your relationships, and any other area of importance to you. I like to call this exercise brain dumping. So what we're going to do is you'll brain dump everything that you're wanting to achieve, wanting to accomplish. And it can be small things, it can be big things, it can be things that are your dreams. It doesn't really matter. It can just be the things that you're trying to focus on right now, or it can be things that you're wanting to focus on long-term in general, and a little bit of both, which I recommend just having a good idea of everything that you want to accomplish. Once you have this list prepared, then what I like to do and what I suggest for my clients to do is we're going to narrow these down. So where do we want to start? What are the things that are the most important on this list? The reason for this is because if we're trying to achieve a bunch of things at once, we're going to end up in that same cycle, in those same results of doing too much, not enjoying the process, and ending up not getting anything done anyways. So what I like to have my clients do is to circle or put a mark by the ones that are the most important. These are the things that you have to get done in the next few months or in the next year. Once you have figured out what you would like to achieve in the next 6 months to the next year, and you've got it narrowed down to the most important things, and you want to make sure that it's not things that you just wish will happen or that it's the dreams, but it's the things on this list that you are going to do whatever it takes to make happen. Now, once you have those, we need to figure out what your mission is. Your mission is your reason why. Why do you want these things to happen? Why do you want to make these accomplishments? Why do you want to achieve these goals? How will it change your life? How will it change the lives of the people you care about the most? Now we need to figure out your mission. Why is it important for you to achieve these goals? How will your life change? How will the people that you care most about, how will their lives change if you achieve these goals? And you want to go really deep with this because you want to get beyond the surface level, because the surface level is not going to emotionally motivate you enough for you to show up for these goals the way that you will need to show up for these goals. Because the truth of the matter is there are going to be delays, there are going to be setbacks, you're going to make mistakes. And in order for us to have the drive to get through those hard times, those setbacks and those delays, is this emotional attachment to the reason as to why we're doing this in the first place. It's going to be the thing that grants us permission and makes it feel okay to fall off the horse and get back up again over and over and over again. Because the main thing that successful people have in common is their willingness to fail and try again, to keep going. They were once a mess before they became a master. And this mission is something that's going to help you be able to go from mess to master. So that's why it can be really important to really ask yourself and reflect on, why do I want this? What is this going to do for my life? What is this going to do for me? What is this going to do for the people I care about? How is this going to affect the world? How is this going to affect the things that matter to me most? What am I going to experience? And why is it so important that I make this happen? And then a good thing about this another thing that can come from this, not only is it going to give you the drive if you are actually working towards something that your soul wants to work towards, if you try to do this exercise and you're not able to go super deep, number one, you might need support. You might need a mentor in that, and you might need to get some extra help to do that. But number two, it could mean that that goal is just not that important to you. It's not actually what your soul is feeling called to do. So another great thing that can come from doing this exercise of figuring out what you think you want to achieve and why you want to achieve it is, number one, it's either going to motivate you so that you can get through that mess to become a master and to accomplish all of it, or it's going to help you start to realize maybe this isn't that important. Maybe I don't care about this as much. And you can kind of set it to the side. Not necessarily, you don't have to cross it off your list unless you just automatically have like realized, nope, I actually don't want to work towards this anymore. This isn't really important to me. Maybe you were doing it because of society or your parents or somebody else, and you realize you as an individual don't really actually enjoy doing this and don't really want to chase this anymore, and you can let it go, right? So this process can be extremely eye-opening, whether it's going to help be the new motivating factor in how you're going to move forward, or it can help you clear out what really doesn't matter. The second step is if you get past the goals and the mission and your reason why, and you feel like you still want to focus on this goal, and this goal is something that your soul is desiring. The next thing is you're going to want to figure out what capabilities and what steps will you need to take to achieve the goal. So this is the plan. This is the realistic plan. This is how we will have to show up to achieve these goals. These are the steps that we are going to have to take. So what will you have to learn? Who will you need to be in order to achieve these goals? The reason this is important is because something I have learned as a meditation instructor and as an entrepreneur, if we are not going to find a way to fall in love with the work that's going to go in towards achieving our goals, it is going to feel like an uphill battle at every corner. This means it is really important to know how we are going to execute achieving our goals. Because if we do not know how we are going to execute achieving these goals, number one, we're not going to be able to take consistent action to move us forward the way that we're going to want to move forward in order to feel accomplished and in order to feel like we're making the progress we want to make. And then number two is because if we start to look at what we have to do and who we have to become, this can be the second level of where we get to decide, is that really important to us? Is doing this work, is showing up this way something that I value? Is this something that means something to me, or am I trying to uphold something for somebody else, right? I hope this is making sense so far. So the mission and the capabilities. So step one is the mission and goals. Step two is the capabilities and the plan that's going to get you there. Doing these processes are going to help you figure out, is this really you, or is this somebody else? And then it's going to help you narrow down what is truly most important to you as an individual in your own unique soul's path. And you get to clear everything out or set everything else to the side for now, because it could just be that it's not time for you to focus on this. And you've got to get really clear on what it is time for you to focus on. So once you are clear on what your goals are, what your mission is, and what you will need to do to accomplish it, and you've decided this is the goal that I want, this is my reason why, and I am willing to do what it's going to take to achieve it. The next thing that I find will come up is resistance, right? So anytime we go to do something, to take the action, to only focus on this and not distract ourselves or add more to our plate or run away or kind of let that ADHD brain of like squirrel, like think about something else come up, is resistance, okay? So what I find, once we make a plan, once we know where we're going, we have a vision, we have a path, the next thing I find that comes up are excuses, or like I said, that squirrel brain comes in and we're like, let's do something else. Let's think about something else. And then we go into this cycle of not making progress. Now we're doing too much. Now we're overstimulating ourselves. And by the end of the day, we didn't take any steps towards what we were actually supposed to take steps towards. So with this final part is identifying the resistance. The thing that I think helps the most once you get to this point of the process is asking yourself, what are you afraid of, right? Why are we resisting this? what is the bad things that could happen if we are successful. And I know that that might sound silly or like, what are you talking about? Why would it be bad, right? We know how important it is going to be. But what is scary, right? And I'll give you some examples. So when I first started as a coach, I had no idea what my path held for me. I didn't know if I was going to travel. I didn't know if I was going to stay at home. And I just was very unsure. There was a lot of unknown of what could happen if I become extremely successful as a coach. And the things that started coming up is my mom is not in great health. So the fear was, how am I going to carry my mom wherever I go without me feeling guilty for leaving her? Right? So this is an example of just something that can be what's underlying preventing us from actually showing up and taking action, is something like this. And we won't ever really be able to identify it until we stop and catch ourselves when we're in this act of, let me focus on all of these things, right? Because that is our brain trying to survive. When we are sabotaging ourselves, that is our brain trying to sabotage our growth, because there are fears or there are thoughts, there are emotions, there are beliefs that we're not going to be able to do it, or that if we do it, we're going to hurt somebody in the process, or we're not going to be safe, we're not going to be okay. So in order for us to survive, when the brain notices, hey, we're actually making progress, and hey, this is actually a potential possibility for us to be successful, we have to squirrel. We have to distract ourselves. We have to run away. We have to do other things, because the brain is trying to keep us safe and to survive with us. So if we do not take a moment to step back and ask ourselves, why are we afraid? What potentially could happen that we're not going to be okay with if we are successful? And we have to be radically honest with this, because if we don't ever identify what we are potentially afraid of subconsciously, because it's not on our brain. On our brain is success and achievement and do, and go. The things on our brain are not the scary things, because as humans, we don't want to feel uncomfortable. So it's so easy for us to suppress those things that make us uncomfortable, and we start thinking about everything else. So we won't be able to bring that to the surface without taking just a moment to ask ourselves these questions and figure out what is the resistance. And then once you figure out the resistance, the next thing is you've got to kind of decide, right? That was another thing. It actually helped me figure out, like, hey, I actually do want to be home while I have my mom. I could travel later. Traveling's not that important to me. And I was able to let go of this idea that I wanted to up and travel and have a nomad type of business where I'm just everywhere, right? And it helped me make that decision. It helped me let go of this idea of, I need to figure out how I'm going to live life on the road, because at that time, that was one of my goals, and that was one of my main motivations for doing what I was doing. But because I identified that resistance and I gave myself permission to let go of this thing, I took a lot of pressure off myself, and I was able to just be okay with being a homebody, because other things were more important to me. So the goals and then the mission. Why is it important to you? Why do you want to do what you're doing? That can help you cross things off of your list and get really focused on what matters the most. And then figuring out, what do you have to do and who do you have to be in order to achieve these things? And then figure out the plan, like, what steps are you going to have to take? Do you want to do that? And do those steps align with who you are and what your values are? And if they don't, how can you remove them or reduce them, right? And then identifying the resistance, figuring out, what are you so afraid of if you are successful? Is there going to be guilt involved? Is there a fear? Are there thoughts? Are there feelings that are coming up, creating excuses to distract ourselves or to run away or to let that squirrel take over and do something else and take on everything else? What are those fears? And then really taking a step back, reflecting on that, and figuring out what we might be really afraid of if we step into success. And all together, these things will help you start to identify what your soul really craves versus what maybe your ego or what other people have kind of told you should want, right? Just because you saw it on TikTok or you're seeing it in your friends or whatever, and you are seeing maybe their happiness and you're thinking, oh, I have to do what they do to become happy. And instead, it's really just about figuring out what your soul wants and then allowing yourself to give yourself permission to be happy with who you are and what your soul wants at the end of the day. So for those of you who know you are an overachiever and you would like some support or some accountability in healing your nervous system so you can manifest soul-aligned success by doing less and achieving more, I have created a no obligation 15-minute manifesting audit. How it will work is we will schedule a phone or a Zoom call at a time that is convenient for you, and together we will go over your goals and what strategies you are currently using to achieve them, and I will go over what shifts exactly that you can make to optimize your process and how to make them for you personally. If I can help solve your challenges and move you forward in 15 minutes, I will tell you that. But if I feel you would benefit from long-term support, I can then provide you with some additional resources to help you going forward. If you'd like to have this manifesting strategy session with me, in the description box below, there is a link to book the call now, and it will take you to a pre-questionnaire to help us get the most out of our 15-minute session. I genuinely hope today's tips were helpful for you and have gotten some wheels turning for how you can move forward in manifesting soul-aligned success and healing your nervous system so you can feel in alignment with everything that you are doing and how you are showing up in the world. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please make sure you like, subscribe, and drop a comment, and maybe share with a friend that you think would benefit. And until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video.